Oh no, I've been injured.
Oh no.
I've been injured. Got wanker's folly. I took a fall and I'm a wanker.
You have sprained your thumb.
I sprained my thumb and it was painful enough that they gave me one of these things that makes it impossible to move now, and I'm like, okay, I guess I didn't need to click buttons or grasp anything for a while. That's fine. Anyway, if my mouse work seems strange this episode, you can't tell because I have it hidden, but I can. And that's all that matters. I still have those dreams. Have I ever shared the details? They are rather unsavory. It always begins in a tent. Sometimes I am nude. Sometimes I am dressed. And if I begin the dream in one state, I typically end up in the other before the end. I leave my tent because I hear a commotion outside. When I step outside, I see that where I have made camp is in the middle of a siege. There are men chasing other men with spears and swords, but they never seem to touch. They just rotate. Ask me how many men with spears I can rotate in my mind. The answer will surprise you. They form a great big circle around my tent. 2 armies spinning around me, unable to land true against their foes. And then, invariably, one of them sees me, and they begin to chase after me. One by one, the soldiers peel off away from the circle and charge toward me. Then I run as far and as fast as I can through the desert. Sometimes I keep running and running and running, unceasing until I wake up. Sometimes I trip on a rock and fall head over heels. And sometimes I turn to face my pursuers, accepting whatever end might come my way. Comfortable that I am righteous, and that I will die knowing that heaven awaits me. This is not my only dream, of course. Most of the others are simple Bible stories. This recurring one, it is not my favorite, nor is it the most salacious. But it is the one that makes me feel most at peace. Whether I escape or die in the dream, I know that I am free from blame. I was going to say, that seems like the detail that she would latch onto, right? Like, no matter what happens, my seat in heaven is assured here. I am, whether or not I have managed to escape or whether I die in this moment, I have the comfort knowing that I've done all I can and now it's out of my hands.
Yeah.
Right, and that's often comforting, knowing that you don't have to work anymore. It's done. Chased in my dreams, I feel righteous. That is a sensation that is hard for me to come by otherwise these days. On the night that I'm recounting, one of the pikemen caught up to me after I fell to the ground. I felt his spear run through me, and I awoke with a gasp. I struggled for air for a moment, and when I calmed down, I sat up in bed. It was still dark out. All fires in the builder's camp had been snuffed out. The wee hours, then. I must have only been asleep for an hour or two. I stepped out of bed and began to pace around the room. Panic rose in my chest. The day had been so overwhelming that I had forgotten my duties. Unpleasant memories flooded my mind. I had urgent things to investigate. The sacristy and all of Eustace's books had been burned to a crisp. I retrieved the superior's cloak from the hook on my wall and fastened it around my shoulders. Sleeping any longer would be a dire waste of time. Hedwig really loves wearing only the cloak and then acting really surprised when people see her naked when she wears only the cloak. Right?
Plausible deniability.
At this point, I don't think she has plausible deniability anymore. I opened the door and made haste to retrieve a candle from the mantel.
A what?
A cantle.
I see.
Locking it, Eustace.
Thanks, Hedwig.
I nearly slipped and fell, however, almost immediately. After righting myself, I looked down to see what I had trodden on. It was a fresh pile of clothes. No doubt Moira or whoever had been assigned laundry had left it there for me while I slept. Good. I could leave these here in case someone woke up and left their room. No one would be any the wiser. Good. This isn't a way for me to close myself. This is a way for me to have an alibi. Which, fair. It's just that I'm not sure that was what your priorities were in determining that. You know what I mean? I carefully lit a candle and departed for the library. It was very cold outside. Even the thick traveling cloak couldn't keep me from shivering as I approached the door. It was still ajar, which was confusing because the last time I had seen it had been a door. This was almost too shocking a stroke of luck at first. However, when I pushed the door open and entered, I realized why it had not been locked. No one in their right mind would want to visit the library in this state. Wisps of smoke still curled around the room. The air was heavy and unpleasant. It was not as thick and toxic as it had been when I burst in during the blaze, but it still made my eyes water. I crept toward the shelves first, still maddened by their strange disappearance before. There they were, however. Empty shelves as far as the eye could see. A glint of metal in the distance confirmed that the suit of armor was there too. I turned around. The sacristy was a far more pressing matter. That door was closed, but it swung open with ease. It was plain to see why. The interior side of the door had been hollowed out by the fire. The exposed locking mechanism was broken. I thanked God for another helpful coincidence. Ash was piled up around the room. A few pieces of gnarled furniture remained, only barely suggesting their original shapes. I sifted through the debris, hoping to find a clue on a scrap of paper. Alas, any bit of page big enough to examine contained barely more than a single letter. The rest was dust. I searched for what felt like an hour, but I could not find anything notable. I swiped at a pile of ash in frustration and caused myself to cough. Curse Eustace! The library being accessible hadn't been good fortune in the slightest. It was the opposite. She must have had unfettered access to the room already. She must have taken any evidence she must have... My foot suddenly gave way, and I slipped face first into the debris. A cloud of gray dust billowed up around me. In horror, I realized what I had tripped over. There was something here, after all. Something flat, slightly elongated, about the size of a small plate. I did not recognize its shape, but the material was unmistakable. Many a time I had touched a substance like this or felt it between my teeth. Bone. I scrambled to my feet to get away from it. I felt ill, but my throat was too dry to heave anything out. Whispering a little prayer for forgiveness, I scooped the fragment out of the pile. I was close to fainting, but I kept myself steady by reminding myself what excellent proof I had just collected. Proof of what? Can you identify what the bone is? Do you know that's a human bone? Dollars to donuts, any bone you just found is an animal bone. Right?
Or a relic.
Or a relic, right? You're in the sacristy. Aren't they meant to keep, like, relics and stuff in here? Good job recovering the lost femur of Jesus, but, you know. Ugh. Anyway. Proof that Eustace was up to something sinister. I don't know that proves that either.
Yeah.
Like, and we've beaten this horse to death at this point. Hedwig makes a lot of leaps in her narration, and while you can see why she does it, she often draws conclusions that are definitely, in the most gracious interpretation, a stretch, right? Mm-hmm. She definitely wants it to seem like this is definitely proof of something sinister, and that's just not what it is. It might be. You know, if it's like, oh, that's a human bone that's not meant to be there, but you can't just pick up a thing, call it evidence, and move on with your life. Proof that the sacristy fire had been arson, no doubt to delete ghastly evidence of wrongdoing. I examined it closer. I examined it closer and realized just what an incredible piece of evidence this was. This oblong, flat shape.
A scapula?
Yeah. I was like, is that part of a hip bone? But no. Oh, I mean, also scale, right? Like, how big is this piece we're looking at? Is that like some canine tooth? I had heard of a bone described this way before. A scapula.
Nailed it!
Wow,
I know
got
a
it in
scapula
one.
when I see one.
Where's the scapula?
It's your shoulder blade.
The shoulder blade. Okay. Thank you for those of us who don't immediately know all of the bones and where the goes.
Now you know where this one goes. It goes in the shoulder.
Awesome. Flora had been eager to read about its associated magic in the library. No wonder Eustace had changed the subject quickly. I stopped dead. I recognized that awful sound. I didn't recognize a sound, did you? I just heard, like, the dreamlike background.
Me neither.
Not now. Not now. I scrambled into the darkest corner I could find and blew out my candle. The distant threshold blackened as the beast stepped into the threshold. As it stooped low to enter the sacristy, I made myself as flat as I could and threw the cloak over myself, praying that it would blend in with the ash. The cold floor felt so strange against my skin. Not now, Hetty. I shivered as the vibrations moved closer. If only I could sink into the stone. It stepped right in front of me. I could hear its labored breathing. I tried my best to match its breaths to my own. And then, it left the room. I let out a choking whimper and gingerly raised my head. I waited, giving the beast time to put distance between us. As soon as I was sure I could stand, I scrambled to my feet and crept toward freedom, only to be narrowly missed by the beast's infernal blade. Bold move. Clearly, if I hide on the ground underneath a cloak, this beast will not notice.
I mean, better than nothing.
I guess?
And if it's going to kill you, you may as well not see it coming. Makes it a little bit less scary, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I guess she assumes it must be animal in nature and not unable to distinguish if she doesn't move. But clearly it was smart enough to also just wait a moment and wait till she stood up and then, like, do it. Make it easier, I guess. But why not take the easy kill? I don't know.
It's less fun. It's a demon, you know.
It's you know what? Actually, I do get that. If this is literally a demon, then they're not thinking specifically about how to do the job well. They're also thinking about inviting misery upon people. That is a non-trivial part of their motivation. I believe that more. Thank you. Also, I don't know why I hit you with my hand. That hurt. I fell backward with a yelp. My path to the landing was blocked. The creature readied another stab, striking downward and narrowly missing me as I rolled to the side. Oh, it's got a blade now, huh? With another violent thrust, it pinned me to the floor through the traveling cloak. I yanked it free with some effort, leaving a tear in the thick fabric. The shelves. Would I be safe between the shelves? I sprinted into the darkness. I could hear the monster's heavy footfalls behind me. Tears fell from my face as I ran. I was certain I had made a fatal mistake. The shelves were devilish. The shelves were devilish trickery. Surely this demon could traverse it as readily as I could. Perhaps we were of a kind. Was this hell? Oh, hey there, buddy. I turned around to face the beast, ready for the sword. But it was well behind me. I stood at the edge of the dim light, the same place Angela had been befuddled. Wheezed angrily and paced back and forth. Was it confused? I tried to slow my breathing. My pursuer, too, seemed to be attempting to calm itself down. Against my better judgment, I slunk forward to get a better look at the monster. But as I approached the regular shelves, it gave up. Thwarted, the beast skulked away. It stooped low to fit through the doorway and then disappeared into the darkness.
Here's a realization I'm having.
Yeah.
Now that we know, there are 2 swords kicking around maybe, because of Urim and Thummim.
It is heavily implied there is a second sword. We don't know it for certain, but it would be weirder if there wasn't one.
Yeah, that's why that was the could.
Yeah.
So now that we know there could be 2 swords, and we know there is a dead animal outside, and it seemed to be headless.
Yep.
It could well be there's someone with a burnt animal head on and another sword. This could be somebody.
Yes.
This would align with the things we know by now.
This could indeed be someone like putting on some fantastical garb. But I have to wonder if this is a new development that it might actually be there based on what Hedwig has said she's seen. And how that relates to the very first thing she saw back in Volume 1, which did not have a goat head, but indeed supposedly slaughtered a goat, right? But
and indeed a goat is slaughtered, so maybe it was I don't know. It feels like the things can all fit together for these to maybe actually be real things that happen and not just Hetty freaking out.
yeah, that we're getting more and more of that, but I also gotta wonder if that's just the easy line out of here. Could be right. It could be right. But let's not also ignore the fact that she juked this goat by ducking into the gap between shelves.
Yeah.
So, for a moment I felt relief. It was only a moment, however. I realized that it might now be headed toward the door. As quietly as I could, I left the library. I whipped my head side to side and saw that it was departing down the hall. It morphed into the shadows, but I could see that it was moving back toward that crossroad. I had seen it for the first time. Back to the hallway that it had chased Flora and I through. It turned to the right, toward my old cell. I stood on the landing, unsure of what to do. I could not face that creature alone again. Slowly I backed away and returned to bed. I clenched my fingers around the scapula as I walked. When I arrived at the dorms, I hastily kicked the pile of clothes into my room and shut the door behind me. Well, if you kick the door close into your room, then that tells people you were up at some point during the evening.
It does.
Rather than you had to just leave them there until you woke up, otherwise they don't serve any... Alright, well, whatever. I scrambled to my knees to hide the bone and made sure the sword I had confiscated was still under my bed. The lack of locks on dormitory doors had never been a problem thus far, but I suppose that undead beings weren't bound to the same laws of decorum as nuns.
Unless they are. We don't know that.
However, the sword was still safely tucked in its hiding spot, which meant... Ecce gladi duo hic. There were 2 swords in the abbey. Now, Hedwig, were you using the second sword when you composed your memoirs of this occasion?
Hedwig 2 Swords von Trier.
No, I just... At one point I had 1 sword and made a joke about possibly getting a second, and well, the nickname stuck. But it has very little to do with my memoirs, I swear. Well, that certainly complicated things. The question was this better or worse from my hunch about Eustace? To distract myself, I looked around the room for a place to hide the bone until the time came to present it as evidence. Under the bed would have to do. I had half a mind to march into Eustace's room now and demand answers, but I was sensible enough to wait. I needed to plan what to say to the superior. I sat on my bed staring at the wall, regulating my breathing, and trying to think of my next move. I was too anxious to sleep.
I just realized something interesting.
Hit me.
So, it's headed back towards Hedwig's cell. That's also back towards the entrance to that one secret passage. and the secret passage, the spot with the symbol, is no longer there. It's now a hole open to the outside world. There could be a perfectly good reason for it to now be open to the outside world, which is someone hiding in there knocked it through so they can get in and out of the abbey unseen without going through the main entrances by climbing up a bit of wall and rubble.
Okay. Interesting. Counterpoint. None of the doors in the abbey are locked.
That's true that none of them are locked,
And
but
especially in the middle of the evening.
But folks are a lot less likely to be up and about in the secret passageway at the end of the hallway where the disused cell is.
Okay.
Like
okay.
if you want to minimize the risk of yourself being seen coming and going,
Okay.
that'd be a way to do it.
It makes... I can see the logic behind it. So then who was in the goat thing?
I don't know.
James?
That's the other interesting thing, though, because if they're headed back that way towards the secret passage, and not headed toward the dorms, it's not something like someone stashed the second sword in her dorm room.
Or maybe they're headed back outside to stash the outfit.
And then come back in.
Right.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like Hedwig should really stay up and see if anyone comes back to the dorms in the middle of the night.
I want to know whether or not she has addressed whether or not the hole is visible. Like, has she gone around the outside of the abbey to look at that hole and been like, can I climb up or down that? Where's this facing?
Yeah.
That would be interesting to know. Every now and then, my thoughts would be interrupted by little spikes of panic as I remembered the beast. Had Eustace summoned it somehow to trap and kill me in the sacristy? Or was it simply random chance? Little noises here and there made me jump.
Noises like a door? Opening and closing?
Did you hear a door opening and closing?
No.
Okay.
I was just questioning if those might be the noises.
Because if there was a noise of a door opening and closing, maybe a nun returned, right?
Yep. Sadly, we do not know.
I sat there stewing until morning. It was only when I heard the other sisters rousing and leaving their rooms to gather for service that I finally began to breathe normally again. Wait, what about Darce? We don't know where Darce is at still.
That's odd, though. They said everyone's accounted for, so I just kind of assumed it meant Darcy was back also.
I got the impression that this isn't the first time this kind of thing has happened, and that her staying down in the village would be assumed under those weather conditions. But I don't take that to mean that they know for 100% certain that she's there. Just that this isn't the first time something like this has happened. And in the past, when it's been rainy and she's done it, that she's just spent the night down there and gotten a ride when she can.
You're totally right. And also, oh no, this means there's a non-zero chance this chapter ends with tripping over a headless Darcy out by the fishing hole or something.
Yeah, I've been low-key worrying about that because Darcy is my favorite.
Yeah.
So I don't know. At least she's not on the will absolutely die list.
Wait, who was on the will absolutely die
list?
list?
At least the soup and Moira.
Yeah.
At least.
Yep. I think those were the two on the definitely die list.
I stood up as tired and clammy as I had been after my trip to the stream and got dressed. I felt so strange. Everything sat wrong on my body. I had worn the same clothes every day for 20 years, and now they felt completely alien to me. I'm not sure that they ever felt quite right again. As I joined the throng of nuns headed to the chapel, I noticed that several of them looked quite groggy.
Hedwig, I see you found your clothes.
Why did you have to phrase it that way, Moira? Yes, thank you. Did you wash them?
No, not me. I was busy checking in with the superior after the fire. I handed them off to Charity, who was happy to oblige.
Oh. Yes, indeed, it was. How are you feeling, Hedwig? Charity had come up beside me when I wasn't looking. I am well enough, just rattled from yesterday. Ahead of me, Angela turned her head. I'm sure you are. Poor thing caught out in the rain, sopping wet. You fell into the stream, I heard you say. Yes, I was looking for Eustace and a question about my chronicles, and I rather stupidly thought to check if she had gone fishing.
Not so stupid an idea.
Eustace spoke from behind me, then jogged around to my right.
Fishing in the rain isn't so bad.
I absolutely could have been.
She was being oddly friendly. Or not friendly, but normal. This was the Eustace I knew and tolerated. The threatening tone of many of our recent conversations was missing. It made me furious. Took all my strength to resist grabbing her head and slamming it into the nearest stone pillar.
Maybe?
Is that the first time we've had Hedwig fantasize about just abject violence?
We had her fantasize about hitting Flora, and instead wheeled her out into the rain.
She's been doing that a couple of more times this chapter, this volume.
Who knew that being locked in a room your entire life might make you somewhat emotionally maladjusted?
Right? I mean, it's also got to be a thing where, like, everything, she could be in control of literally everything about her world.
Yep.
And now can't, and maybe doesn't know how to adjust to that. Is that so? I wanted to ask her how she had managed to sleep at all, considering I had a piece of her victim hidden under my bed.
Yeah, rouse the fish up, it does. Gets him moving. Easy to get a bite. I was busy elsewhere yesterday, though. The fire was my fault.
So I heard. As we approached the chapel, I saw the superior shoot Eustace a meaningful look. I was suddenly curious. What was going on? And then I looked at the floor and I started seeing these weird black dots in between all of the tiles on that floor. It got very confusing and I stopped looking. Did you see the floor in the last image? It was one of those ones with the black boxes, but there's just like enough of a gap between them that your eyes will do the thing where they see a circle where there is none between. Optical illusions! We all filed into our seats silently. The bishop, who had been leaning against the pulpit looking rather grim, stood up and straightened his clothes as the superior stepped inside. I remembered that Moira had informed me of his wish to speak with me. I supposed I would have to talk to him after the service, although I dreaded the thought. She took the podium and I braced myself. Remember the drubbing we had received after Flora had gone missing.
Well, here we all are. Before we get on with service, there is something that must be addressed. As I am sure you're all aware, a fire broke out in the library yesterday afternoon. Nobody was hurt, thank goodness, but our sacristy was irrevocably damaged, to say nothing of its contents. We are most fortunate that this fire did not occur in the cellars or the dorms. That this is a blow to our pride and not our finances or our congregation is nothing short of a miracle. I believe Sister Eustace would like to... Ah, yes.
Eustace had stood up and was slinking toward the pulpit. The superior stepped aside to allow Eustace to address her audience.
Hello. Hi. I am sorry. I did not mean to put everyone in danger.
She spoke in her typical clipped, emotionally ambiguous manner.
I was careless. I wish I could say it won't happen again, but... Well, I suppose I can say that. I should say it. I promise I won't ever put you all in harm's way again. My fault.
Is that an interesting double meaning there? Is she not just talking about the fire?
Yeah, right? Like, I felt that, and like, because I don't know about you, but I'm always hyper aware of people's language whenever they're doing apologies, right? And there was a whole lot in here. And she doesn't apologize for setting the fire. She says, I'm sorry. I did not mean to put everyone in danger. I was careless. I wish I could say it won't happen again, but I suppose I can say I wish it wouldn't happen again, and I should say it. And then she says, instead of saying it won't happen again, she says, I promise I won't ever put you all in harm's way again. Interesting. She stood still for a moment, not speaking. Her eyes were cast down, staring at the podium in front of her.
It would only be appropriate, I think, that I resign my position as sacrist. And while my opinion might not count for much, after such a grave error. I would like to put a suggestion forward for a replacement. Sister Flora.
Huh.
There was a murmur of surprise from all the sisters, not the least of all Flora.
Me?
Yeah, you.
I would consider it, I suppose.
I think it would be a good fit for Flora. Especially while she recovers from her injury. Ideally, it is a quiet job, and one that requires very little movement. Especially when we have, shall we say, a dearth of artifacts to manage for the time being.
Will you still work in the library at all?
I wasn't planning on it. Why? You gonna miss me?
All the other sisters tittered. Well, I would, to a degree, yes.
That's very sweet of you to say. But no, I'm suggesting that Flora take over all my duties.
Is she cutting and running?
Yeah, I wonder.
Is that
she
what-
did? She has been like, that's the thing I might do.
So is this all pretext? Like, oh look, here I fucked up beyond belief. Guess I gotta go.
Could be.
Is Darcy waiting for her on purpose down in town? Are the two of them about to go skedaddle?
That would be funny, especially since I had thought last episode that until we see used to show up and so on, I had thought that like, oh, funny that those two specifically aren't here. I wonder if they left.
Oh, wow.
Would be an excellent learning experience for her.
The more I think about it, the more I like it. Sister Flora, do you accept this new position?
Well, go on. Why wouldn't you?
We'd help. That sounds like a yes to me.
That tells me a lot more about you than it does Flora.
Why not?
A smattering of applause broke out around the chapel. Eustace stepped down from the pulpit, but the superior stopped her from returning to the pews with a question.
What will you do?
Not sure yet. Like some time to think about my role here, if you wouldn't mind.
Of course. Take all the time you need.
Thank you.
Will you at least be able to help Flora get acquainted with the library?
I think Hedwig is more than capable of showing Flora her new responsibilities.
Very well. I understand that the library might be difficult for you to visit.
Yes. Very. I really am quite sorry about the fire.
You are forgiven.
Eustace bowed her head, and there was another outburst of applause.
Everybody loves you, Sister Eustace.
Why are you all applauding me? I set something on fire! What the fuck?
Eustace pulled her lips into a rather unconvincing smile, then ducked back toward the pews to take a seat. The rest of service continued as normal.
Oh, there's an eye.
There is! Hello there, down at the bottom. Again, I can't tell if they've been added in or if it's just pareidolia, but some of them definitely seem to have been added in or intentionally there. Is it just Hedwig always feels watched?
I don't know.
She definitely likes the thought of other people seeing her when she's, in the buff. When we emerged into the cold winter sun, voices were echoing all around the cloister. Next to the chapel, the men were hard at work, erect. ing the clock tower. Come on, let me have one, okay?
Yeah.
That's my one. That's my one. I got it. It's over now. We can move on. I watched as everyone scattered to go about their days. Everyone except Darcy, I remembered. I frowned and Moira noticed my distress instantaneously.
Are you well, Hedwig?
Ah! Why did we suddenly get Ace Attorney and music? Am I being
Interrogation
questioned?
time. The mental locks appear.
Right? Like, this isn't the turnabout music. This is the I am questioning you with the Magatama music.
Yep.
I'm just worrying about Darcy.
Oh, I wouldn't. She'll turn up later, I imagine. She's stayed in the village overnight before.
Right, okay.
You were spot on.
Yeah, that's kind of what my reading was of what that all meant. Not to say that it's not to dismiss the possibility that something else happened, but I took that to be the explanation for why people were so blasé about it. So I've heard. I suppose I ought not to worry.
Try to relax. You are not responsible for everyone.
Sometimes feels like it. I nodded, unable to tell Moira just how wrong she was. All of a sudden, a familiar shrill whistle pierced the crisp morning air. The few sisters who had managed to step away from the throng turned around instantly. In the distance, I even saw the men working on the tower turn in confusion. The sound had come from Sister Charity, who continued to waddle happily toward the chairs on the very edge of the cloister. I was utterly bewildered. The sisters continued about their mourning, and the men eventually shrugged and continued to the building. Oh, another eye. This one in the center, see the center, not a pillar, but the center bit of brickwork there? And then on the right side of that.
Yep.
See that right? It's above the word continued. Charity and Marta took their usual seats. I followed them, too curious not to ask directly. Ooh, joining the fogies today, Hedwig. I was just wondering what the whistle was about, actually. Marta and Charity exchanged a glance. What whistle, dear?
I didn't hear anything.
But do sit down, Hedwig. It's been a while since we caught up.
Interesting.
What the heck?
I'm imagining Charity just walking by the construction site, wolf whistles at one of the muscly builder guys, and then is like, what are you talking about? I didn't hear anything.
I didn't hear anything, Hedwig. You spoiled sport. I accepted the invitation begrudgingly. I did not appreciate being treated like a fool.
Nasty business in the library, eh? I never did trust Eustace with an open flame.
I hope it hasn't affected your work too greatly, Hedwig. I hadn't thought about it. It would be far too smoky there to work, I should think. What ended up burning? Are the books still there? It'd be a terrible thing to lose all that history. Luckily, I think it just affected the relics. Oh, you popped your head in already? Yes.
It was quite brave of you to run in there last night in your skivvies.
The two of them chuckled. Can we get a Marta chuckle? There we go. I panicked. I was incredibly worried for Eustace.
You have far more thought for her safety than she ever had for ours.
Oh, don't be nasty, Marta.
We nearly woke up roasted to a crisp.
Never mind all that now. All in the past.
Literally like 10 hours ago. Well, never mind, all the past.
Are they referring to something else? Right? Nearly woke up roasted to a crisp. Did you? Well, if you can't work today, Hedwig, what do you do? I'm not sure. Maybe faff? I hear faffing about is really fun. Suppose I'll wander around and offer my help here and there. Or just sit and enjoy some good company. Charity smiled warmly. You are always welcome, dear. Isn't that right, Marta?
Yes, provided she's dressed for the occasion.
Charity snort laughed. Did I get a good one?
Yeah.
It's hard for me to snort laugh in a way that sounds like genuine and not like it's being overdone.
Yep.
Because that's just not how I laugh, right? I know people who do laugh that way. And when you kind of force it in, it sounds overdone.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to make it sound like just part of a natural snort laugh. But I flushed scarlet but tried to play along. I must have looked quite foolish.
You looked like a pervert. I hope none of that lot saw you.
She dragged her stick towards the builders. I don't think they did, Marta. I should know. I was with them. Charity burst out laughing at her own admission. Marta looked highly unamused, but Charity was beside herself laughing. She slapped her knee and wiped a tear from her eye. I think we all would have all noticed if Hedwig had walked in with her muff out. Yes, well, I was off in the other direction. What did I miss last night? Before the fire interrupted everything.
Beauty sleep.
Oh, it wasn't all that, to be honest. A few of us went to welcome the lads and shared a drink or two around the fire. Very gracious, very handsome, and above all else, too young to consider spending any serious time with. Nice to look at, but that's all at the end of the day.
I'll never understand you.
Oh, don't sulk.
I'm not sulking, I just don't trust them.
Yes, you've said more than enough on the subject. I like how this is what those two grouse about. I'll never understand how you can like men. Oh, hush. Marta appeared to swallow her pride. She opened her mouth to respond, then stopped and simply sighed. Marta conceding defeat. Wow. As abrasive as Marta could be, I wanted nothing more than to tell her how right she had been about at least one of the men.
Flora in the library, then.
I'm happy for her. She's been down in the dumps for so long now. I have to imagine this has brightened her day.
Are you joking? This is probably her worst nightmare. A title that comes with duties. She'll hang herself before the month is up.
That's what I was thinking. Like, are we sure? It doesn't seem like she'd be happy about it.
Okay, but it's in the library. What does Flora love doing?
Just reading and wanting to look at the books?
Yeah, this gives her an excuse to just hang out in the library all day, slacking off and reading. There's not even any relics to take care of anymore. This is perfect.
But she has to do the finances.
Wait, does she?
Hedwig, Eustace did, right?
Did she?
She kept a log. Everything's gonna go missing within the year without Eustace's system in place. Oh, don't be nasty. Goodness gracious, do we need to get you to bed?
I've worked with her, that's all. Getting Flora to follow instructions, good God. It's like pulling teeth.
I have half a mind to pull a few of yours out if you don't cheer up, Missy. I'm glad these two have everything sorted. No matter what else, these two seem to have their relationship straight. You know what I mean?
I love these two now. Like, Marta's being a complete asshole to everyone, and Charity's the one person who's like, yep, I know how this goes. You just have to do it right back. I'll pull a few of your teeth out.
Marta's love language is being an asshole. I smiled and stood up. I could see that I wasn't going to find anything about the strange whistling here. Thank you for the chat, though. I think I'll wander about and see if I'm needed anywhere. Very good. Have a lovely day, Hedwig. Marta waved me off. What I'm now realizing is that there's different versions of these backgrounds, some with the eyes and some without. Because I remember seeing this one with an eye in it, and this one, and the one we see right now, does not have an eye. So there's variants of the background. It's not just always this angle has one. Only at certain times do they have eyes.
That's rather interesting.
Does it mean anything else? Like if there are eyes on her, does that mean that she's being watched at that time?
I don't know.
Or is it just meant to highlight how Hedwig feels about being seen and watched at all times?
It's unclear.
I felt compelled to bother more people about the mysterious sound, but I was close to the superior's office. Now was as good a time as any to get my meeting with the bishop over with. I knocked on the door, half expecting the superior to open it. She would loom over whatever conversation the bishop and I were to have, no doubt. I was wrong, though.
Oh, Sister Hedwig. Do come in. I was looking forward to another scene where I had to do all the voices again.
The bishop, it would seem, was in the office alone. He ushered me inside as polite as ever. Greetings, Your Grace.
No, none of that. Shan't have you kissing my ring. This will just be a friendly chat. Think of me as your guidance counselor. For nunning.
Very well. Where's the superior? Should we have a representative from HR at this meeting?
She's finding cleaning supplies for Eustace, I believe. Who are you? You seem ill at ease.
No. It's only... both you and the superior insist on forgoing the protocols of your stations. The man chuckled ruefully.
The ceremony grows a bit tiresome after so many years. I know when to use it, and I know when to speak plainly. And now is certainly a time for plain speech. I am worried for you, Sister Hedwig. Are you well?
Is this about my manner of dress last night?
Your lack of it, I dare say. But no, not exclusively anyway. I don't need to know all the details, but it is one of many clues that has me concerned. I'm worried about your academic career.
Well, I do appreciate your concern. Things have not been easy as of late.
I can only imagine. Mabel has placed you in quite the predicament. I would not have approved, but she told me her little plan. I would not have approved had she told me her little plan before executing it. But that's her for you.
She disobeys orders often?
I wouldn't say that, no. She has a habit of making choices I would order her not to make, however. She prefers to ask for forgiveness than permission.
He chuckled again.
Actually, I'm not even sure that she asked for forgiveness, so allow me to correct myself on that matter.
I find myself rather exhausted with it all, to tell you the truth. Although I can report that I think I'm making good headway.
Are you?
Never
mind. Save it for later. I'm here to ask about you, not your task.
Very well. He began to walk around the room.
I still find it hard to believe that it's really you, to tell you the truth.
Okay. All right.
I remember sealing you in that cell as if it were yesterday.
He leaned against the threshold to the superior's bedroom. Well, she didn't let me out. It was rather forceful.
That is right. She told everyone else that you requested it, though, yes?
Yes. He clucked his tongue and shook his head.
I do not like all of the lying, even if it is for a noble cause.
Imagine how I feel.
You say that you're confident you're closing in on an answer. What will you do when this is all over?
Stay here, I suppose. I shall have much to repent for.
You mustn't curse yourself so. Worry about that when it's over. Would you like to come back to the diocese with me? I'm sure we could find you an upstanding position. Perhaps somewhere a little more urban. More academic. Dare say you deserve a nice study. Somewhere to illuminate manuscripts or write commentaries, perhaps. Something overlooking a river, or...
Thank you, but I don't think I would like that.
No?
I appreciate the offer, but leaving my soul has already been enough of an adventure. Relocation to another abbey or a city, I think that might kill me.
I understand. This is a rather ill-mannered abbey, however. I imagine that things might end up a little strained between you and your sisters, and I found out you've been spying on them. If you do ever change your mind...
I shan't.
I am only a letter away.
I appreciate that move, being like, listen, Mabel's kind of fucked at times, and I completely understand you being put in this situation. Let me at least do what I can to offer you a lifeline after this, right?
Here is your off-ramp, should you like it.
Because he may not have approved this, but he can at least help, give Hedwig a graceful exit.
Yep.
I don't know if we're giving him too much credit or if I'm carrying his water, but, I'll take it for what it looks like right now. We stood in silence for a moment. May I ask you something, Your Grace?
Of course.
Where did I come from?
Trier.
Yes, of course, but I mean, what circumstances? You mentioned remembering sealing me in the cell so clearly. I am afraid that I don't.
Your family thought the church would offer a better upbringing than they could.
But why was I made an anchoress?
You argued for it. Made quite a case for yourself, in fact. You were skeptical at first. Becoming an anchorite or anchoress is a noble calling, but you were so young. But you refused to take no for an answer. Does that jog your memory at all?
No. But it makes me feel proud. It also made me feel rather dizzy, but I kept that to myself.
She argued for it. She doesn't remember it. But I'm not sure how much to prod Hedwig on whether or not she actually remembers these things or if she's obfuscating having forgotten. But I guess I don't find it implausible that she's forgotten something from when she was 7. Even if it is a big pivotal moment, like, I don't know, I can't remember everything from when I was 7.
I felt invigorated. Perhaps Eustace knew nothing after all. Perhaps she had been bluffing when she threatened me in the cellar.
You have always argued with passion. I may not approve of Mabel's choices in the matter, but I do have faith in your ability to solve this nasty business. Now then, are you sure you're quite well?
Positive.
Run along then. Do try and take care of yourself.
You know what? Shouts out to good old Tricky Dick here for being the one person to be like, Hedwig, take care of yourself. For fuck's sake.
I bowed my head and left the office.
It's also interesting the portrait we get of young Hedwig arguing for herself to be put in there very passionately too.
And modern Hedwig not remembering.
Not remembering any of it. Yeah. I can see why the bishop might be so confused as to why it's her, because it's like, when we put you in there, you were very passionate and driven and argued for this, and now you're very closed off and very awkward. And, you know, granted, she went through her formative years in there. People change, but still, I can understand his reaction. But all that aside, is Hedwig Hedwig? Is Hedwig Hedwig?
I've also been thinking the is Hedwig Hedwig and the Catherine's last project was you, Hedwig. Was Catherine's last project Hedwig, or was Catherine's last project to invent Hedwig?
So you mean create someone to be Hedwig?
We're going really universe brain here. I don't know how
Don't
we
get me
would
wrong.
work with
I have
this
thoughts-
unreliable narrator.
I've thought so many times about whether or not someone murdered Hedwig and then took her place. The problem is everyone could see her goddamn face all the time.
But they couldn't for decades.
No, but my point being that everyone could, if someone replaced her, if it was someone from the Abbey, they'd all know it because they're like,
True.
that's Catherine with now pretending to be Hedwig. I could see her. My proof is that I could see her goddamn face. Right? So even if it's the case where Hedwig is not Hedwig, it then kind of kicks it to it's someone else who no one had seen before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that also, like, without any reason to suspect who that might be, that's kind of a useless line of reasoning. But.
This door shung swept behind.
Yeah.
I have one job. I have to read aloud. And do you know how hard that is?
The door swung shut behind me, and I exhaled deeply.
I like it when the door shings swud.
Shung swat. It's shung swat. Now you know why I hate spoonerisms, because my brain just can't function with that.
That had not been so bad, although it had left me a little shaky. The bishop was a kind man, but if you can forgive my past self-cynicism, I found him a bit empty. As I left, any lingering thoughts about our conversation were replaced with ones about that damned whistling.
I guess, so what Hedwig is like, she's expecting something more spiritually fulfilling in a manifestation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, I get. Soon I was back to wondering who I could count on to tell me about Charity's odd behavior. I headed toward the garden where I had seen Margaret and Catherine depart. Perhaps they would trust me, intimate as we were. I've always considered us a closely knit clique. Unfortunately, after following the sound of their voices through the hedgerows, I found Margaret in distress.
Oh, Sister Hedwig. Not a good time, I'm afraid.
My apologies. I can go.
No, it's no trouble. Hello, Hedwig. I apologize. I was just... Well, I'm having a bad time.
Your father? Catherine shot me a look, but Margaret responded well.
Yes. I don't know. Well, I was the one who recommended his company to the superior. I don't know why I did it. I heard her lamenting how expensive it might be, and I sort of blurted it out. I have no reason to be sad, but when I saw him standing there, I felt a great deal of shame. Ridiculous.
Does she feel... Why would she feel shame over that? Over having used her closeness to the superior to give her father a leg up?
I don't know.
What do you have to be ashamed of? I don't know. Everything. What have I done with my life since taking my vows?
Okay. It is like, hey, what have you... It's been forever, and, what have I accomplished with my life?
My dad builds castles or some shit, and I hang out in a secret passageway, steal sausages from the pantry, and occasionally throw big rocks at furniture.
Yeah. I guess maybe she feels like she's just been kind of faffing about and wasting her time, and has no kind of spiritual enlightenment or increased devotion to show to her father, you know what I mean?
Yep. I came here because I couldn't bear the idea of starting a family, but I haven't done anything to make up for it. To make up for it? Honestly, don't talk about yourself like that. He's very proud of you. He said so when you met yesterday. He's the type who would be proud of me if I was a prostitute. I don't know,
I get what Margaret's saying there, but, I mean, he's still proud of you, right? That doesn't change that fact.
I don't know, I think I used to envision greater things for myself.
Like what?
I'm not sure. Making something. A great work. A scholarly breakthrough or some other body of work. Some music, perhaps.
You do make music. You've played me your compositions before.
Yes, I remember you performing one of the Misericorde. It was beautiful. Margaret smiled through her tears.
I appreciate that, but that could scarcely be called a great work. I never finished it. I have so many half-finished ideas, and when Catherine died, she took the other halves with her.
She broke down sobbing again. Catherine embraced her from behind.
Margaret, my dear, you mustn't think that way. You wouldn't understand. We had plans. Catherine and I were going to change the world. At least that's what she said. I should have believed her. I should have done more. I just didn't give myself to her ideas as fully as I could have. As I should have.
Let's bookmark that and we'll come back to that in a moment.
And now I'll never have that opportunity again. I'm rudderless.
What was Catherine's idea? Margaret removed her face from her hands and looked at me through crystalline tears.
It does not matter anymore. She had a vision, and now that she's gone, there's nothing anyone can do. The door has closed, I'm afraid.
She wiped her face with her sleeve and cleared her throat.
Well, I should at least make an appearance in the camp. Catch up properly with my father, you know. Should I join you? No. I have to do this myself. I appreciate the offer, though.
Catherine looked as though she'd wanted to argue but said nothing. Margaret sniffled and waved goodbye to the two of us. When she had rounded the corner, Catherine let out a withering sigh.
She never let me in on whatever Catherine was on about either, for what it's worth.
Yeah, like that seems to be about that
Change
If
the
we're to
world,
believe
kill the bloody king of England.
Yeah, if we're to believe Catherine with the K, that I'm guessing Eustace is, or not Eustace, Margaret is referring to that kind of clique at the very end there, the inner circle, right? Which was her, Eustace, Moira, and Whomst?
Catherine.
Catherine with a K?
No. With a C.
And with a C, right, okay.
I found out about everything I told you against their will.
Really?
Yes. As close as Margaret and I have always been, I was never part of that little club.
Would that have anything to do with that odd whistle I keep hearing?
Whistle? What whistle?
What I saw Charity doing.
No. I'm not familiar. I'm referring to Catherine 2's little gang, which was just her, Moira, Margaret, and Eustace. The one I told you about last night.
She cleared her throat.
So, how worried should I be?
I haven't been to the Superior yet, if that's what you're referring to.
Good.
Are you sure there's nothing else you could tell me? Catherine shrugged.
I only ever heard bits and pieces here and there. Whispers. It all sounded rather gruesome. I didn't pry. Margaret would always cinch up tight when I asked her questions about it.
And Margaret also mentioned not committing herself fully enough. You know what I mean? Like, that makes it sound like there's, like, it's not, like, that makes it sound like it's not just something one person can just kind of passively be into or kind of like go halvesies on. It sounds like, it does make it sound like what they were planning or what they had been talking about was dire or had very high stakes, right? No half measures kind of thing.
Yep.
I promise that I told you everything that I know.
How odd.
Honestly, though, why wouldn't they involve me? What room can't I liven up? Come now. Just a little joke.
I was lost in thought. Catherine with a C, Moira, Margaret, and Eustace was a rather odd combination of sisters.
Nice.
Ugh, sorry.
They were the younger set, to be sure, but I had never taken Moira and Margaret as very close. And Eustace was so attached to Darcy, it was difficult to imagine them not being involved in something together. Even my single lead, the smoke, didn't seem to connect them. Moira remembered smoke, Margaret did not, and I hadn't ever dared to ask Eustace about it. Only Catherine with a K's assertion that murder was involved made it anything more than a dead end. It was too compelling to give up on. And you're positive you don't remember anything else?
I'm afraid
This
so.
is the second time I've asked you this conversation. Just can't think of anyone those sisters would want to kill. Can't imagine anyone here killing someone. Present company excluded.
How flattering.
I desperately wanted to know about Catherine with a K's history with her husband, but that was a mystery for another time.
I do apologize if I seem pushy. I'm just tired of having to be paranoid. I keep spotting Flora and her new cohort spying on me from afar.
Really?
Well, spotting is a polite way to put it. It's hard to sneak around in a wheelbarrow. But they always look so shifty when I notice them.
Respectfully, are they just being kids? Like, I know they're late teenagers now, but still, like, are they just Flora has new friends and they're just acting like little dolts because that's what people their age do?
Yeah, you just have to go do teen activities.
Don't be suspicious. Well, I'm sure that's entirely unrelated to the Superior, at least.
You would think so, but who knows?
Is the Superior playing two sides? She also have Flora investigating?
Anyhow, what are you up to for the rest of the day, Hedwig? I must say, seeing you run around naked as anything under that cloak almost made up for your grim news last night.
I appreciate the compliment, Sister Catherine, but I am rather busy today. Perhaps if Catherine had been willing to impart information about the mysterious whistling, I would have obliged her further, but right then I was so determined to make any progress at all that I would have happily sold myself to the barest shred of direction.
Another time, then.
Perhaps. We walked together out of the garden.
Well, I suppose I'll go pull up a chair with the old folks and watch the men for a while.
I would ask that you not speak to anyone else about my investigation.
Why would I? It'd implicate me as much as you.
Of course. Have a good day then, Sister Catherine. She nodded somewhat tersely and we went our separate ways. Determined to narrow down the meaning of this whistle. Charity
what?
had done it right in front of me. It's kind of been driving me mad ever since I first heard it.
Oh, back to eyeballs. You see it?
No, I haven't spotted it yet.
Oh, I'll let you find it.
Oh, is it up near the top of the doorway?
It's underneath run into.
Yeah, I see it now.
I did a lap or two of the cloister, hoping to run into somebody who could help me. Naturally, this meant running into the least helpful people possible. Oh, look, the goon squad. Flora, Bridget, and Violet were loitering in front of the chapel, gesticulating animatedly.
Oh, Hedwig!
Maybe she'll know.
I like how I said that was going to be a one-off, and now I'm just committed.
Now you're just committed.
Doubt it.
No, what?
Oh, hey, where do birds go in the winter?
What?
It's a fairly straightforward question, I would say.
Certainly, but... why?
Oh, we're just interested, that's all. We're talking about something else. One of us mentioned birds.
I brought up birds.
Oh, right, yeah. And now we want to know. Where do birds go in the winter?
Well, Jeremiah says that storks fly according to the season, so presumably they'd go somewhere warmer. Africa, perhaps?
That's what I said.
No, it is not. You said they flew to India.
Africa is in India, right?
Close enough.
No, they are different. India is closer than Africa, for one thing.
Right, none of these people have seen a globe or anything. That's fine. Right. Sorry, 1400s. Gotta.
That's Ethiopia. Africa's right next to Spain, and then a bit further down is India.
I guess if you're looking at it with west on the top of your map.
Which was common. And then a bit...
Never mind. That's right out.
And then a bit further down is Ethiopia.
Ethiopia not being a part of Africa is what makes me very confused. What did... So I'm not going to stop to look this one up because it's not that important, I don't think. But I am curious what they understood Africa and Ethiopia and India to mean. Do they understand that to mean those regions and like a larger part of it than we would today?
Ethiopia has an interesting... European conceptions of Ethiopia have an interesting history where there's legends about... well, for one thing, not legends. For one thing, Ethiopia was a Christian part of Africa, which was uncommon.
Yeah.
That would be the case, but so it was. And so that was one thing that made it distinct, both in terms of like the sphere of knowledge and communication, as well as the cultural sphere. Another thing is there were legends about a Christian king, Prester John, far away in the distant lands where you'd go well beyond where anyone had traveled, and then suddenly you'd run into another Christian land again, which I believe they thought was somewhere in Africa or India. I forget where they thought Prester John was, but that's another thing. They were like, yeah, we're pretty convinced that you can just kind of keep going, and if you go far enough, then you meet this good King John, and it's a distant and weird land full of wonders where everybody's Christian like us, and so on and so forth. So, that one was further to the east. That one was believed to be out past the Orient.
Ethiopia?
Prester John.
Prester
Although
John, got it.
Portuguese explorers came to believe that it referred to Ethiopia at some point.
Got it. So
Things
when
were
they
just
say
kind of muddled.
Ethiopia, they don't mean Ethiopia, the country or the area on the map that we see today.
Folks knew that Ethiopia existed and knew that it had Christians, but there hadn't really been that much contact, really.
Got it.
And they knew there were things like Africa and India and so on, and that they were in a general direction.
But, okay, so that's why Ethiopia is being... Okay, got it. I understand now why that would be used alongside Africa or India in a description like that.
According to Wikipedia, according to Wikipedia, until the 14th century, India sometimes meant areas along the Red Sea, including Somalia, South Arabia, and Ethiopia.
Jesus. Okay.
India had a very vague definition at the time, seeing as they hadn't gone there and they had just kind of like heard about it indirectly from books. So
Got it. Okay. So again, I'm okay. I am glad we stopped and got that actually. So like our understandings of what those locations are don't match up here, because why would they? Okay. Cool. Great. My head is back in one place now.
That's a long way to fly, ain't it?
That's why I said they flew to Africa.
No, you said India.
Because I thought Africa was in India, which is closer than Ethiopia, which is really far away.
I'm getting all confused now.
her glasses went swirly.
I saw it. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't think the birds go anywhere warmer. It must take an awfully long time to fly between different countries, and there are 4 seasons. They'd be flying back and forth all year, wouldn't they? I think they just sleep in caves. That's what happens in King Arthur.
Nope, here she goes.
Did we find another literary fanatic?
If they sleep in caves, how come no one ever finds birds in caves?
People find birds in caves all the time.
Those are bats.
Maybe the birds turn into bats.
Animals can turn into other animals.
Some can. Barnacles turn into geese.
I am just so fascinated in like the state of common knowledge in this area. What it is impossible not to know and what it is no longer permissible to believe in 15th century England. I need to know this.
That's because barnacles are goose eggs. It's not the same as turning into another animal.
Barnacles are animals?
If I may interrupt for a moment, have any of you heard a strange whistling today? Or ever, come to think of it?
No. That's right.
I ain't heard a thing.
Very well. I could sense that this would go nowhere useful. My apologies, but I doubt I can help with your query. Do let me know if you make any interesting discoveries, I suppose.
What's the weather like in Trier this time of year?
I have no idea. Same as it is here, I would imagine.
Good to know. Thanks.
Take care. I took my leave. I got the sense they would be arguing for a long while yet. I doubled back the way I had come from.
Excuse me.
Who else could I ask? I wondered. Perhaps Adela would be in the cellar?
Oh, another eyeball. See this one?
Yep.
To the left of I hurried down. I don't know why I feel the need to point them out every time. It feels like I'm winning at I Spy.
Now, does the stairway have them also, or are those just ovoid things?
I think those are just ovoid things.
I see.
I've noticed that when the eyes are added, they're very, like, it is like iris, sclera, like all of those bits. They're very noticeable, and they have the whole oblong shape to them as well.
I hurried down the stairs into the darkness. It was dark as ever down here. There was no obvious sign of Adela. I assumed she would be nearer the front where I had met her and tried her sherry before. Alas, it was clear she was deeper in somewhere. Adela! You down here? I winced as my voice echoed around the massive croft. Adela's eventual reply was completely inaudible. There was nothing for it. Once more into the sea of casks I went.
There's a pretty obvious one behind the wines there.
Yeah.
As I stalked the rows of aging wines, I thought back to the ledger entry I'd seen in the library. This was an awful lot of sherry. The barrels we had smashed for Catherine's makeshift wake would scarcely have been missed had they still been a part of this grand order.
There's another one.
Wow.
There's tons of eyeballs now. God damn. At some point, I'm going to need ZC to just be like, hey, yeah, this is pareidolia. Don't worry about it.
I had absolutely no economic sense, but as I saw more and more barrels, more and more wine, I began to believe that perhaps the number made sense.
The number might make sense, but the word sherry doesn't. They don't make sherry here.
They age it. They're trying to.
They're trying to make it, and it's not going that well. It's
Yeah.
not like... That's not the main thing they do. They make regular wine, so why sherry? Why is that in the ledger?
Because they're trying something new? No, you're right to point it out. I'm trying to, like, what's the reasonable explanation for it, right?
Adela's trying to make one small batch of sherry, and therefore that's worth the entirety of the rest of our budget massively, a huge economic influx.
Yeah, that's...
Huh.
That doesn't make sense at all, does it?
The cellars must have run under the same entire cloister. I was lost in thought when I rounded a corner into a new row and yelped. Ah! There was that painting again. It had morphed. Flora did appear to have some technical skill after all.
Yeah, see, the
Okay.
painting is still being worked on.
Yeah, you're right. I was wrong.
Okay.
And so Hedwig thinks it's Flora.
Hedwig thinks this is Flora working on this painting, which, given that Flora's asked for materials before, I didn't have a hard time believing is true. And also,
do.
Flora spent a while down here. But that is kind of a leap, I will admit.
I have trouble believing it. Flora hasn't given indications of great artistic skill.
No,
But she has also given kind of like, it feels like she has a desire to to get something out. And I imagine that, this is clearly a work over long periods of time. But you're right. It is an assumption. We don't know for sure who is doing this.
the figure was quite realistic now, although still scarcely recognizable as human. It had eyes, hair, and a figure. Still missing a mouth, however. It said there were only well-rendered skin stretched under the nose, as if the subject's maw had been sealed shut like a wound. The eyes were bright and familiar, but I could see no soul behind them. Infuriatingly, the eyes refused to meet mine.
Now, is that the same portrait that we were seeing? Oh.
Fuck that. Fuck that. That was not okay. You can't do that.
Now, is this the same portrait we saw elsewhere, or is this a different portrait, now that we've seen this one up close and personal?
Same portrait as when? The one...
Like on the cover and that they found in the...
I would believe so. They look very similar in composition. I'm not a painter. Maybe someone could with more skill could convince me that they were different.
I just don't remember what the other one looked like, so...
They look very similar. I think we don't have any reason to assume they're different at the moment, and I'm not sure what assuming they were different would get us. But
makes sense. So my thing about the painter coming to paint Catherine was probably a red herring.
I don't know if it was a red herring, because it did happen, but I don't know that...
it's not this. It's not related to this.
Yeah, I don't think that is this, because this is still being actively worked on.
Yep.
Right, by someone who was here now, not the painter who came to paint Catherine. She said it sucked and then left.
The subject's gaze was fixed elsewhere. Or were they? Standing here alone in the dark, I felt a chill of recognition. Slowly, the unmistakable sensation of being observed crept into my mind. Of course, this thing could see me. I had spent years away from prying eyes. The feeling of being seen was all too new to me, all too recognizable. The feeling of being seen. Okay, so now we're getting a bit more context for all the eyeballs, I would think. I pulled myself away from the painting and retreated into the rows of barrels until I found Adela.
Is that another one?
Sure
Does that
is.
count?
I think that counts.
That one counts? Okay.
There's another one up top, too.
There's another one up top. I can't tell if those count or if they're just...
They count.
Or if they're just kind of barrel
They aren't.
designs.
They're definitely eyes.
Okay.
When I found her, she was busy examining barrels of sherry as I had predicted.
Oh, hello, Sister Hedwig. How are you this morning?
Fairly well, thank you. But I'm in rather a hurry. I just had a question for you. Adela looked concerned.
An important question. What is it, Sister Hedwig?
I saw Charity blow a mighty whistle earlier. I've heard the same sound more than once. Do you have any idea what it's all about? Adela furrowed her brow.
Perhaps she just enjoys whistling. Was there anything else?
What on earth was everyone hiding from me? Sister Adela, I do not mean to pry or exceed my station, but this is very strange. I heard the sound once before after Flora's injury, and now I've just heard it again. I saw Charity do it, in fact. And I've asked several people now, and I've only gotten these vague answers, and I want to know. It feels awful to not be included. Surely it can't be anything too nefarious or too difficult for me to understand.
I truly am sorry, but I really do not have an answer for you. What I can say is that I was once where you were. I know what it is like to feel this way, but patience is a virtue. Perhaps you will find what you were looking for if you just wait.
She smiled pleasantly at me. Yeah, because from Adela's perspective, she's like, you're encountering a lot of things that you have no context for, and people aren't really good at explaining them to you or won't explain them to you, and just sometimes you just have to learn over time, right? And
Yeah.
But perhaps so. That was more of an answer than anyone else had been willing to give me. Something told me this was as good an answer as I was ever going to get. Whether or not I wanted to heed the advice, well, that was another matter entirely. Running around and desperately asking every sister was beginning to look like a futile course of action, but I could feign patience while pursuing other avenues. I had gotten rather good at that.
Would you like to taste this sherry? It is shaping up nicely.
I accepted the ladle she was offering and tried a sip of the wine. I spat it out immediately and Adela giggled. That is just as awful as it was before.
It is actually very different. But it takes a lot of practice to be able to tell, I suppose.
Indeed. A thought occurred to me. This sherry is part of a very expensive order, is it not? I saw it in a ledger once looking in the library.
Indeed, most of the wine here is being made for others.
Of course, but the sherry is something special, isn't it?
Interesting. So it is actually the sherry.
But you were right to notice it.
Yeah.
You were right to notice it.
That is correct. That is why I was brought to Linbarrow after all.
Yes, I think you mentioned that before. Has it been rewarding?
Linbarrow is not my favorite convent, but my work is satisfying.
I should hope so. It does sound like a lot of work.
Indeed. And that is not to mention Marta and her stubborn habits. She never wanted to relinquish her work to me.
Who ordered all that sherry? Adela cocked her head to the side.
Why do you ask?
Well, if the superior went so far as to bring in an expert like yourself to oversee it.
You are correct. It is a very important client, supposedly. Unfortunately, that is all I was told. You are not the only one kept in the dark on some matters, Sister Hedwig.
Does that not make you feel irritated or used?
Not particularly. Not anymore. I learned some time ago that I can only be given what others wish to give me. And I am less likely to be given something I demand.
Huh.
Respect only grows while unobserved. That is what I think, anyway.
I don't know if I agree with you, but I understand where you're coming from. Okay. Okay.
I nodded, chewing this over. That sounds very wise, Sister Adela.
I would like to think so. Is there anything else I could help you with?
No, I don't believe so. Thank you. I bowed my head and turned to take my leave.
Will you be attending the bonfire tonight?
There's another godforsaken fire? Another bonfire so soon?
Yes, as long as the weather permits it. We are hoping to enjoy one last fire before the snow comes.
In that case, I should love to join you. Adela smiled widely.
I shall look forward to seeing you, Sister Hedwig.
There's
Eyes.
another one. God. Hedwig must feel seen so often. Also, these the very crunchy kind of tinny chiptune track that's been happening for a while now has been setting me on edge.
Hasn't it been several tracks? Like, what's the title
It's been
now?
several tracks of this now.
Yeah, it feels like... Yeah, this is a different track. It's... The music started getting crunchy and chiptuney and feels like it's just been like staying that way and or ramping up over the past while.
I gotta wonder about it.
The odds of a bonfire being possible seemed rather low that morning. Made my way back upstairs, intending to sit at my writing desk and ponder the bone I had retrieved from the sacristy. Felt a little embarrassed that I had let Charity's whistle distract me so badly. There's another one.
Yep.
However, as I crested the stairs, I noticed the door to the library was ajar. Curious to see if the library was yet habitable, I poked my head inside. Indeed, cleaning had already begun. The floor nearest the door was spotless and slightly damp. Somewhere up ahead, I could hear the sound of a brush against stone. A lone woman was on her hands and knees, a bucket next to her scrubbing away at the tiles. Hello?
Oh, Hedwig. How are you?
Well enough. What are you doing? Eustace stopped scrubbing and wiped her forehead with her arm, turning to look at me.
Penance, I could call it. Superior was going to tell some of the men to help, but it's my responsibility now, isn't it?
I suppose so.
Did you need something?
On second thought, Sister Eustace, not at the moment.
Very well, then.
She bent down and went back to her scrubbing. My curiosity about the whistle had brought me to her, but quite frankly, I didn't want to be anywhere near her. Every moment I spent near Eustace now was a gamble. We were standing across from each other, blades drawn. So far, neither of us had made a move, but I was planning my strikes carefully, and I did not want to give her any opportunity to guess what I might do. I knew she was up to something, and soon I would present my case to the Superior. I was getting good at acting, pretending, and playing, but not good enough to extend time with my suspect. To spend extended time with. My thoughts were a complete jumble. I'd been without my workbook for too long. Why was I allowing myself to waste time on something as silly as an annoying whistle? I sighed. One thing was for certain. I needed to speak to Angela as soon as I could. Back to the Superior's office it was then. Imagine what it would have looked like if I had traced today's movements in my hastily abandoned book. And be an illegible scribble, to be sure.
Yes.
Interesting. Even the knocking was tinny, which now makes me wonder if something is up with the audio. Either way, I think this is where we're cutting the episode, and if there is indeed something up with the audio, we'll figure it out for you. Oh, yeah. That's not meant to sound like that.
Unless it is.
Unless it is? Hold on, let's drop a save, and then let's go to the main menu real quick. What on earth? Is it meant to sound like that now? We're gonna find out what's up. We'll see you next time,
That's
everyone.
wild.
Bye.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.